three things came out great. My A1C lowered down to 5.7 from 5.9 for the first time in 2.5, 3 years. That was a massive win. The fasting glucose, I was at 97, so it was still within range, but it was high. And that went down to 88. The last thing is my cholesterol went down quite significant. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I was at 200 plus before, and I was like 100 and something. I can't remember the exact number. My cholesterol went down significantly. I'm still losing weight. So I was about 174. Now I'm about 156.2 or 156.4. So say about 17, 18 pounds maybe so far. My A1C and blood sugar were probably the least of my concerns at the time, and it was always well within range. And 2022, I did an annual physical, and then for the first time I saw my A1C was pre-diabetic at 5.8. And I thought, I didn't know what I was doing wrong. The only thing that I knew that I'd changed in my diet that year was that I'd started drinking a lot more fruit smoothies. And these were 4 dates, banana or 2, some almond milk, pistachios, almond butter, and maybe raspberries, blueberries. And I used to drink a big smoothie every morning. And I thought, wow, I'm being super healthy. That's the only change that I could perceive. And when my A1C went up to 5.8, firstly, they weren't that concerned. They were like, oh, okay, yeah, it could be genetics. It's fine. So they didn't feel the need to help. But more importantly, they said that it's probably the fruit smoothies, the dates and the bananas and all the fruits and the spike of the blood sugar. And so they said, cut all that and let's take your measurement again in 3 months. But I don't expect anything to change, but at least it'll be stable. And I thought, okay, that's blanket advice, but I'll take it. I cut out all the fruit smoothies. I cut out all the fruit. And then I thought, okay, now it should be at least, I hoped it would go down, but it didn't. The A1C remained at the same level. So at 5.8. So again, 2023, I did my physical. A1C was 5.8 again. I was like, okay, at least it hasn't gone up. 2024 came along, did my annual physical, and it went up to 5.9. And now I was like, okay, now I'm actually doing something wrong. This is not normal. Here's me sitting and thinking that I'm eating healthy. And why is my A1C going up? In fact, my weight was going down. My body fat percent was going down. I was 35% back in 2022, and I dropped it down to 26%. So I thought I'm eating healthy. I thought I'm exercising. I'm biking. I'm lifting weights. Why is my A1C still so high? And that's when at that point, I wouldn't say desperate, like, oh, I'm diabetic, but I really wanted to, if I'm putting in so much effort for my health, I did want to make sure I'm reversing this. Like, I'm conscientious. And that's when I found Mastering Diabetes. And I thought, okay, I should probably pull the trigger. There are probably a few things that I could do that would really help, since it was focused on diabetes. And when I searched everywhere, I couldn't find any other dietitian or nutritionist that was purely focused on, I know how to reduce A1C, or I know how to reverse your pre-diabetes. So that's why I sought out this program. So what had happened is the previous year I talked to my doctor because I was pre-diabetic. I was like, okay, let me get a CGM. Let me start monitoring. We start collecting data. So, I thought, okay, let's, once I get to some level of stability with my diet, which I had got to, let's start tracking. And the very first thing the CGM showed was my basal blood sugar was 120 to 130. And I was shocked. Have I done something worse? Because even the CGM readings from the previous year, I remember at least, was always in the 90 to 100. And I was like, what's going on? Like 120 to 130. So that's when I genuinely started panicking. I was wondering, is this really right? But I stuck with it. I was like, okay, let's not worry about the numbers. Let's wait until I actually go to a lab and get the numbers. But I was genuinely scared. I thought the program wasn't working. And part of me wondered if the fruit was the culprit. So after about 3.5 months of working on the program, and again, mainly it was just cutting fat. And for me, I was already mostly plant-based. So cutting out milk was a very easy thing to do. I just had to pay attention to the fat content, things like tofu, nuts, cutting out nuts, and then making sure any snacks I ate were low or no fat. So things like healthy lentil snacks, which are just dry roasted lentils or dry roasted soy. So all those things, doing that. There are a few things that happened. So when for about 3.5 months, my exercising, to be honest, had actually reduced. I was much more stressed at work. I wasn't able to jog or run or bike as much as I used to. But the first thing I did notice, and what did make me stick to the program, is I lost about 10 pounds within the first month. And my weight loss just kept continuing, and it's still continuing from last week to this week. I've lost another 2 pounds, or 2 weeks ago to now. And I'm not doing anything. I'm just eating a lot of fruit, a lot of greens. I'm just paying attention to my meals. So the reason I stuck to the program was, okay, I'm seeing significant weight loss, which I've never been able to do before. So something must be going right. When I got my tests done at the end of January, so 3.5 months after I started the program, 3 things came out great. My A1C lowered down to 5.7 from 5.9 for the first time in 2.5, 3 years. That was a massive win, especially, the ideas around diabetes being chronic, it's irreversible. It's seen so many people who are stuck with it, and the demystifying type 1 versus type 2, and, understanding the mechanism, seeing the A1C lower, seeing the leading indicator, the fasting glucose, I was at 97. So it was still within range, but it was high. And that went down to 88. The last thing is my cholesterol went down quite significant. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I was at 200 plus before, and I was like 100 and something. I can't remember the exact number. My cholesterol went down significantly along with my weight going down. I'm very, very grateful that I stuck with the program. My intuition told me it sounds right. I mean, we've been told eat a lot of fruit and vegetables, eat less fat, and all of a sudden there's in the stresses of the world, things get confusing. And then it's like, oh, that was kind of obvious. Eat more fruit, eat more vegetables, don't eat so much fat. I'm still losing weight. So I was about 174. Now I'm about 156.2 or 156.4. So say about 17, 18 pounds maybe so far. And again, I'm not exercising. I'm exercising less, just not because I'm trying to exercise. I'm just not having enough time to exercise, but just improving my diet has paid off significantly. And it was simple changes. I mean, everything had a substitute. That's what I'm grateful for. It's like, no more almond butter. Here's almond butter powder. And then no more potato chips. Okay, here's a healthy bean-based snack, or here's a pea-based snack. And then, okay, if you want spices, then add your own spices. Get a spice mix. There are sauces that are 0 sugar, sriracha sauce. You can make it super spicy and tasty. So I never felt like I'm missing out. And if I ever wanted a dessert, I eat a date. And I'm like, that's great. I'm like, are you sure I can eat dates? Yes, but that's perfect. I felt great.